RC Toy Machines is a budget-styled arcade racer that was published by Phoenix Games and released for the PlayStation in 2005. And this game follows a long trait of budget entry games that were starting to appear on the PlayStation catalogue with regards to racing games. And the game did receive about average reviews, considering the game to be somewhat decent in terms of what it offered, and it had enough unique attributes and the difficulty level was decent enough that allowed players to get in and enjoy the game for what is on offer. So the premise of the game, like with a lot of these toy type racers, is that you play as remote control style cars and you race across different types of terrain and environments, pretty much like within a house or garden type of setting, where you have to compete against other racers while trying to reach the end goal and to pick up power-ups and so forth along the way to help you progress. And you have to hit a variety of different checkpoints in order to keep the race going. So if you manage to miss the checkpoint, you're reset back to the previous one, and then what happens is you have to try and play catch up. But by then you can only assume that the game is pretty much over at that point, because the game itself, although it does present a challenge and can be difficult for the average gamer to pick up and play, as the overall sense of speed of the game, it isn't overly fast, it is very sluggish, and even the controls wouldn't be all that well refined, and even visually the game would be somewhat lacking compared to other racers seen on the system. But again, this is a budget game in all regards, so it's never going to be as well refined or well put together compared to more bigger budget games seen on the console at that time. But it does present a different challenge, and it's very similar to many other kart racer style games that would have been seen on the PlayStation, but again it's just more of a lower entry or more of a budget style game. And the game does present a variety of different tournaments and modes, and you can also play multiplayer with the likes of your friends. So when you're racing, you do have to avoid different obstacles, and you do have to race on different types of terrain and to go and move up and down upon different objects, and they can also hamper your progress as you race. Now, because of the complexity of the game and the fact is that it's a low budget game, there is elements of the play style that can frustrate a lot of players, and that can also hamper your progress at times, because sometimes the collision detection in the game can be quite off-putting, and if anything can be at some times low quality, where you can get stuck on items and the game can glitch out, which can literally destroy your progress, forcing you to have to restart the race all over again, which will frustrate a lot of players and lead them to quit. But it's just another one of those gripes that you would commonly see in a lot of these type of games. Again, they were developed by small or independent companies that wouldn't have had as big of budgets, and these games would have proved to be their entry point into developing games for the PlayStation at that time. And the funny thing is, when you look at the massive array of games that were released on the PlayStation, the majority of games, while there is a lot of massive and high budget titles, there's even just as much kind of like clone style games or games that were rebranded in different regions, but even more budget style games that were appearing on the system. There's literally an absolute plethora of budget racing games and just general other types of budget type games like platform games, adventure games. It was kind of like a mixed bag in terms of the variety and the quality that was being presented on the PlayStation at that time. And now these games would have been more of a pick up and play affair if you had access to just a few quid here and there, to if you got access to them in a bargain bin. There's very little way that most people would have paid like 20, 30 or 40 quid for this game. There's no way that they would have done that as such, or even with any of these type of budget entries, because again the quality of them would not have been as good compared to your more high quality racers on the system. But what they do present in quick short bursts, and they don't appeal to everyone, and this game definitely would not appeal to every type of player out there. But if you do like more quirky or cartoony style games, you could try this out, but just be noted that it isn't a well fleshed out game, and there is elements of the game that will frustrate you, because again it is playable, but it's just not as well defined or well put together compared to other more higher quality racers seen on the system. But it is decent enough for a quick playthrough, and if you do like these type of toy type racers, it's another one of those games that you can try out, but just know that at times it can be frustrating and difficult to play. But I would love to know your thoughts on RC Toy Machines for the PS2, if you have played this game back in the day, or did you enjoy these more budget style entry of racing games seen on the system back then, and what do you think of them overall? Be sure to share it down in the comments below, and if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be updated with future videos. And if you would like to see more content around other types of budget style racers also released on the PS2, check out this playlist here on screen to see more of those games in action, and I will see you all in the next one.